Let's get this party started. No such thing as a shame at Plug Rock. All right. You're listening to PPM LP Philadelphia 106.5. In the 267, does anyone ever take 267, Chrissy? I don't know about that. Those are people that have the have a phone from T-Mobile or something. Cricket. Do people still have Cricket, Chrissy?
They do, but I have 267 and
but
I'm not Cricket.
But they don't advertise on here, so we're not going to talk about them in the morning. You're listening to the What's Next radio show and Ray's Latino Talk podcast. This is the podcast home for the realest. I mean, for real. Conversation analysis on politics and today's hottest topics from a diverse perspective. This is your host, Ray Collazo, and returning back to host today's show, the founder of Love Shouldn't Hurt, and my little sister, Chrissy Vega, in the building. Welcome back, my friend.
Ooh, thank you for having me.
Unbelievable. So great to have you back on the show. Christina, for those that haven't heard you before on Ray's Talk Show, you're so many things. We have an exciting new segment for you, and you have become a real force here as part of the Ray's Talk Show community. But let's start from the beginning and what you're branding here today. Share it with a little bit about the mission of the Love Shouldn't Hurt campaign, which you're going to hear more about later in the show.
Thank you, Ray, for having me again. Hello, everyone. I'm here to support and to promote Love Shouldn't Hurt. It is a nonprofit in the works for women and men who are working towards fighting against domestic violence. Our mission is to empower women and men to get out, to stay away from the negativity and get away from the abuse. So that is what we're supporting, running away from the abuse and kind of supporting each other through that transition.
Now, while abuse can happen to anybody, correct, obviously this is a very acute issue that impacts women. And in particular, and when you came on the show, and I encourage people either watching on any of these digital platforms or on live or listening to the podcast or watch this on YouTube later, is that you want to check out the episode you were on. We really did a deep dive about kind of what led to you this mission. But it's very important that we support the women in our lives, not only sort of from an emotional perspective, and we're going to talk about that throughout your Love Shouldn't Hurt journey, but also a political perspective. So what are the policies, what are the laws we need to advocate on a city, state, and federal level? And we're going to talk about that later so that we can put some policy, put some meat to these thoughts and prayers, because there's some really simple things that Congress could be doing today if they wanted, instead of the nonsense we're going to talk about in a second. So that's very important. And in general, I mean, we stack 20s here. We do everything we can to support the Love Shouldn't Hurt movement. Later in the show, we're going to hear more about Love Shouldn't Hurt, including more about an exciting event. Christina knows how to throw a party. She's got a great event coming up. I'm very excited about it. Also, more presidential updates on our Stacking 20 segment. Potentially the biggest Latino family reunion ever. And the debut of Christina's new segment. I'm so excited I made this one up. The Salsa Room.
That's right.
Christina's going to take us behind the curtain. What happens in the salsa scene?
Craziness. In
Philadelphia and worldwide. But first, breaking news, Christina.
Yes, breaking news, Ray. We finally have now seen more of the Mueller Report that was shared with Congress today by U.S. Attorney General Bill Barr, who Deonelli Reyes called a flying monkey on last week's show. Ray, as North Philly's political prophet, we need your initial reaction.
Yes. This was a sad day for America.
I think so.
It's an attack. First of all, before we get into Trump and Barr and these people, but the fundamental poor purpose of this investigation, which came crystal clear in the report, was that the Russians attacked us.
Correct. In
our electoral process. And one of the things throughout these conversations I want to get into this year going into next year with these elections is, and I want us to start thinking about this, is what is everyone watching this and listening to this on whatever side of the aisle, what do you think the United States is? And what is the purpose, right? Because if we don't have a democracy, then maybe you're happy here and maybe that it works for you, but don't pretend that that's what the United States purpose is. So that's the first thing. And Bill Barr, as the Attorney General of our country, betrayed our country today. And I want to use the real language, because when our folks in the street sell small quantities of drugs and get put away, they're called thugs, they're called gangsters, they're called other stuff. So this man betrayed our country. He's a traitor to our country. And he's supposed to be the top law enforcement officer in the country, not the president's PR person, not even a good one. He lied to our country, as we used to say down the way, cold-blooded. That's an 80s term, Christina, when you were very small, cold-blooded, before releasing a Mueller report. So he lied, and then he released a report. 3 quick things, and these are lies, and you need to spread, because everyone out there got a cousin that's believing the hype on this guy, and, well, the guy said it. Barr said no collusion. First, it's not collusion, it's conspiracy. Manafort gave the Russians the polling data and said, this is the data that we're using with our election, and these are the states that are most important. To me, Chrissy, that sounds like somebody's coordinating, conspiring, colluding somehow.
Yeah.
So I don't know what else you have to do to, so that was clear in the report. Yes, secondly, Barr says this morning, cold-blooded lied to us and said the president fully cooperated. First of all, he never talked to these people.
Not at all.
And it's very specific in the 400-page report that they tried. And he did, and Mueller had to make a judgment. Do I hold on to this for 2 years while I take this guy to court with subpoenas to try to, and maybe I get him to talk, maybe I don't in 2 years? Or do I drop this now and explain the situation? Thirdly, and there's so many things, Barr says cold-blooded straight lied to us that he was exonerated.
Right.
Mueller laid out. He said, look, he said it, and he all went to a poli-sci class in college. You just got to read this stuff. It ain't that complicated, my friends. And say, he's the president. It was actually in an appendix C. So y'all look it up, all y'all smart people out there. I couldn't convict him. I can't charge him with nothing because he's president of the United States. So that's a legal thing. I can't go around that. But I'm going to lay out for you 10 shady times where he colluded, or he conspired, whatever. He was shady. He lied to us. He had information. He told his people to lie. And sometimes they didn't lie for him, and that saved him from more criminal liability. Right. So to say that he was exonerated is a stretch. And by the way, the whole way that our government is structured, again, do you want the United States? Do you want something else, people? And his supporters or whomever, is that that is now Congress's responsibility to be the check on this man. That's called impeachment and that process. So, the standard of the last thing I'm going to say on this, I'm going to let Christina say something, is that the standard for the president of the United States, or really anyone in leadership, anyone especially in government that we pay, our taxes pay for these people to work and represent us and do things, should not be, well, I got off. That's like right. Good if for, the guy in the neighborhood that, they couldn't prove he had the dime bag on him and, like all that kind of terminology. I'm not good with the new drug terminology. I'm from the 80s. But, okay, I got off because, the cop didn't submit the paperwork on time. So I got off. Okay, you're happy for that knucklehead for that day. But that shouldn't be like what the president and our country should be celebrating. Our president got off. It's actually a very sad day.
Yeah, I think it's just a lot of bias. I think if you're for President Trump and you believe that he's an amazing president, you refuse to see the facts that are lying right in front of you. I think there were a lot of facts thrown down by Mueller, but I think that Barr is just kind of biased to that attempt. So he continues to kind of blockade what's being said in this report. Mm-hmm. So I think it depends on your bias and what you feel about the president. I think it's on both sides of the nation. It's either I'm for President Trump, I'm against President Trump. He either did it or he didn't do it. And to them, it's like, no, there were no facts that were concrete in this report.
Well, I encourage everyone, and I posted it this morning, even if you don't believe me, or you have different leanings, or you read it yourself. That's all I got to say. And I know It's 324 pages, but guess what? I see some of y'all reading, what's that book with the Harry Potters? And,
they read those, right?
Yeah, you'll watch 8 hours of your favorite Netflix show. You can sit down for a couple hours. You can flip through it. Just read the facts. Because Barr is not saying there's anything factually incorrect. He said he got some disagreements with Mueller interpreted. Mm-hmm. But the facts are the facts that you tell me. You want a president that lies about everything and hides everything? A president that's got 100 connects with the Russians? And by the way, our foreign policy is basically to submit to them whatever they want. So if that's what you want, then that's not the United States. So you want something else. So just be real with yourself.
Right.
Christina, I wanted to ask you this question that you got your ear to the street metaphorically. I get concerned because as someone that's really into politics, I really get caught up in this discussion because this is like selling our country in a fundamental way. But do you think people connect with this issue? My concern is that people don't understand really what's going on here and not as focused on this as they should be.
You know what? I think that it's an important issue, and I think people need to sit down and kind of just, like you said, read the report and kind of see facts and kind of make their own decisions. Mm-hmm. But I don't think people are putting as much importance on it than they should. I sat today and I spoke with someone about it. I told them I was coming on the show, and they were like, "What's the Mueller report?" And that, to me, I was taken back because I'm like, what do you mean? Like, these are things that are happening in our nation right now that people should know about, especially in reference to our leader. This is someone who's leading our country. So I think people are not taking it as serious. I think they're just kind of staying back. I think a lot of people kind of just are trying to back up from the political scene, but they need to put more importance to it because this is the person that is leading our country.
No, and the thing is that so many of these folks, and ultimately this gets back to next year's election, is that they're getting fed bad information, and part of it is they kind of want to believe it, the bad information, but because they don't want to admit, I told you so. Oh yeah, I guess I'm dumb and I voted for this guy or I support this guy, whatever.
That's the truth.
But the reality is that we have to not only tell our truth, but just share the facts.
Right.
And if you like the facts, if you like us doing whatever Russia wants, if you like, putting down minorities because it makes you feel better, and if you like the way he insults women, if you like those things, then just admit to yourself that's what you're into. Not that you're in fantasy land that this guy's a good guy and he comes from God and all this nonsense. So, I would just say, and I know Christina wants to get to the next big issue, and so do I, is that as it relates to what's next, you're going to see a lot of investigations, a lot of hearings. I'm looking forward to Mueller speaking to the Congress myself, because we have to get to the truth, and that's going to continue. But the bottom line is that from a political perspective, the people that understand the importance of getting rid of this guy, regardless of who the Democratic nominee is that we all have to take a personal responsibility starting today, starting this year, not waiting until October 18th of next year, is that, okay, those 27 people in my life that normally 11 of them will come out to vote next year, I got to make sure all 27 come out.
Yeah,
the cousin in Lancaster that's 19, you got to register. Your neighbor next door that you maybe have to give a ride. That sibling, you just got to bug them a little bit. Right. Because, okay, I'll listen to you, Chrissy, because you're the smart one or whatever. You have to take a personal responsibility because to rely on some flaky people that vote Última Hora in a couple of these states, and we can win Florida, we can win Arizona, we can win Texas without those flaky people.
Yeah.
And the people that get, so we have to take a personal responsibility.
Yeah. People don't take it as serious. The other big news is President Trump continues to impart more cruelty on Latino families on our southern border. He's fired the leadership of the Department of Homeland Security because they weren't tough enough on immigrants, while children remain separated from their families and caged in inhumane conditions as Trump's policies only cause more stress. He responds by threatening to ship undocumented immigrants to sanctuary cities like Philly. What do you think? Does this make sense, Ray?
It's very interesting because I think about this, Chrissy, and think about your leadership with Love Shouldn't Hurt, is that getting back to that, and we'll talk about that in the next segment, is that you are epitomizing leadership because you've identified a problem and you're looking to find solutions, right? And it's not an easy problem. It's not an easy subject. And so that is the epitome and that's the definition of a leader.
Right.
A leader doesn't create problems. A leader doesn't exacerbate problems. A leader doesn't, then when he resolves he reverts back to where the initial problem was, he doesn't take credit for that. And so that is what we're going through right here. He created this initial emergency on the border. It wasn't really an emergency. It's kind of honestly 2,500-mile border. Sometimes people are going to want to cross it for various reasons, right? So that's always sort of an issue. Undocumented immigration had been kind of on the low end over the last couple of years because the economy in Mexico has been better. And then he exaggerated it. He started separating kids. That was more of a humanitarian, that are here more for humanitarian reasons. And now, because of the fiebre and the drama he's created in Central America and the lack of funding now, more people are coming. So he's just creating this, he's creating problems and making problems worse. And it's not about Homeland Security. The Department of Homeland Security was created because of Iraq. I mean, like foreign terrorism. Actors attacking us, right? It's not now it's not a public safety issue. It's not about Homeland Security. This is about racism. It's about co-signing on racism to make people scared for political gain. And it's so racist. Think about this concept, that this mentality is so racist that he believes bringing more Latinos to your city is a punishment. And I hate to tell you, President Trump, you want to bring 5,000 Latinos to Philly?
Let's go.
We'll take them. Yeah. More people at the club, more people partying, more people to buy, more people to buy, goods and services, more small businesses. And let me tell you something. When you only got $72 in your pocket and the roof started leaking, boy, if you got to know Salvadoran in your life is a lot better. You need some sheetrock done at a reasonable price.
That's right. And they'll get it done well.
And get it done well, won't complain. When you tip them, they take cash, they take whatever. They know you need a minute until you get paid for the rest of it.
Yeah.
They'll spot you if necessary. No, and let me tell you, pupusas, I mean, more Spanish food trucks in the neighborhood. Bring them on, my friend. Christina, we love our people, don't we?
Well said, Ray. Yeah, we do love our people, and I don't mind having more Latinos. Because, when you go to the club, there's not that many men who want to dance. So you add some more Latinos, I might have some more dance partners out there.
Well, there you go. We got to get to those serious issues of the day.
That's right. Well said, Ray. In the next segment, I want to update everyone on Love Shouldn't Hurt and our big event on the 28th. You are listening to the What's Next radio show on WPPM LP 106.5 FM in Philadelphia, Ray's Latino Talk podcast. Listen to 106.5 FM in Philly at phillycam.org. Listen on the iTunes app, and you can download Ray's Latino Talk podcast on iTunes and anywhere you can download a podcast. We wanted to shout out our listener of the week, Zenerica Aguirre and the Gonzalez Aguirre family in Houston, Texas. Are big fans of the show. Zenerica is a passionate Latina that loves AOC and Ray's Talk Latino.
And Zenerica is my cousin.
Oh, that's awesome.
It is a beautiful thing that over the last 5 years, and it's a longer story for another time, but I found out I have a Mexican side of my wing of my family.
Oh, check it out.
On my mother's side, the Corazon. So the Aguirre family in Houston, Texas, and I have another tia out in the El Paso, Juarez area. So I got to meet them. We're Facebook homies. And Titi, knows us, met my mom and all that in PR, but I didn't get to meet them in person until Sunday.
Right. Oh, that's awesome.
So we had a fantastic time. Arturo, my other cousin, good guy, and we had a good time. Christina, let's update everyone on the Love Shouldn't Hurt campaign. How have things been going since you were last on the show a few months ago? It was an excellent episode, and I know a lot of things have happened since then.
Yes, they have. Amazing. So next Sunday, April 28th, we are having our premiere of our film. I'm super stoked, and so are the other two women on the film, and all those included. If you are in Philadelphia, we will be at the old Colonel Doherty building, so kind of throwback, 6301 North 2nd Street. So we'll be having our film premiere. We also I'm going to write a book on my journey with domestic violence, as well as starting this journey for the nonprofit for the organization. So it's very exciting, a lot going on, and we just want everyone to come out to our premiere next week, because the film essentially is what started all of this.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a full-fledged would you call it a documentary?
It's a documentary, yeah.
But it's like an hour long, right?
It's about an hour and
so
12
it features.
minutes long.
Share us a little bit. What's the content of the documentary?
So the majority of it is 3 stories of 3 amazing women, one being myself, tooting my own horn. My own personal story of domestic abuse, and also 2 other women who are close, amazing women in the community that a lot of people know their faces, their stories of domestic abuse, and unfortunately a primary dedication to a friend of mine who was lost last summer to domestic violence, who actually was the driving force for this film, who actually kind of piloted us to move on and start this journey that we're started on.
And so, I know this was a sort of a personal journey.
Yes.
And then as people started reaching out to you, you gave them the confidence to sort of share their story.
Yes.
It became another type of journey. And now you're not only have you created sort of a movement or a support group, and you've made a documentary, which is incredible. You sort of created an organization at this point. So I'm just, and I know there's other things that come with the nonprofit and everything else, but so how was that part evolved from sort of personal support, organizer, like you're wearing a lot of hats now with this campaign.
Yeah. I won't lie, it's a little overwhelming. It started with just kind of saying, you know what, let's put a documentary together. Let's kind of tell our stories, to kind of put familiar faces on domestic violence so that people in the community could kind of see, yes, I know these people. I see them in the community and they're familiar faces and they've gone through it, to kind of bring people out of the darkness, which is pretty much our focus. But it turned into so much more. We have people who are, reaching out to us now who contact me and say, listen, you got out of it. I don't know how to get out of it. How do I get out of it? What are your next steps? I have people from the National Domestic Violence Hotline that are like, hey, you're in Philly. We need a place in Philly where people feel protected, feel comforted. What are your next steps? How can we help you keep moving on? I have people who are telling me, you should write a documentary. You should write a book. And I'm like, okay, no. And now I'm agreeing with them. Like, yeah, I should write a book. My story can open other people's eyes. I've gone around now. I've talked to students in different high schools. I've talked to different community health meetings and kind of just putting my face out there. And the response is ridiculous. People have inboxed me with their personal stories. I've honestly had people write to me or call me at 3 a.m. I had someone who called me at 3 a.m. and was like, listen, I'm leaving it. You've motivated me. I'm out of my home right now. I have no money. I have nothing. I'm in New York. I'm in a cab. What do I do? So it's definitely become a small project that's turned into something major. And it's kind of piloted my voice to kind of be that person in the community. So it's become major.
What has putting the documentary taught you about yourself? Because there's sort of there's an organizing element of it, and I know you've incorporated obviously the videographers and the people that are helping with that part of it, and then you have this premiere happening, so there's sort of the event planning part. So it's testing a lot of your different skill sets. So I'm just curious, what has it taught about you? Not so much as a person from a moral perspective, but just as a leader.
Well, you know what? I think I doubted myself a lot throughout my entire life about what my capabilities were. I've always been very outspoken. You know that. You know me all my life. But I think I was very fearful of kind of just being that spokesperson, being that person that's kind of there for everyone. And I think that this has definitely showed me, you know what, you need to ponlo pa fuera. It's time to put that aside, and you need to be vocal, because if you don't, then you're not going to push anybody else to do so. So it's actually allowed me to kind of come out of my own shell. I've always been outspoken and funny and goofy in my community, and I'm a dancer and I'm out there and people know me. But it has allowed me to kind of take off that mask of just trying to, like I say in my story, just being that person that smiles for the camera and allowing people to see this fake side of me. I've allowed myself to kind of take that off and be this person that I know that I am. I'm able to give people answers and kind of say, you know what, yeah, I'm the face. I'm out there. What do you need? And kind of being there for people. And I haven't always been that person. I'm a vocal person and I'm a funny person, but when it comes to kind of helping others, I kind of doubted myself. So it's allowed me to kind of put that aside and say, you know what, I can do this. Let's go. Let's keep moving forward. Let's push.
Well, Christina, I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of the rest of your team. Shout out the other ladies that are in the documentary, because I know we wanted to bring them today, but the studio's a little cozy, so I wanted to make sure everybody had a seat and microphone, so we'll get them back. But tell me a little bit about them and the other people helping you with this.
That's right. So first off, the people helping with me. So I have our videographer, which is Mario Vasquez. He's a part of J-Prod Productions. Jose Rodriguez.
Oh, that's our man. Okay.
Jose awesome. Rodriguez was our photographer. Mario Vasquez was our videographer. And they were essential in playing this part, because without them videotaping, we don't have a movie, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
We have Ronaldo Velez, who runs the PHL Salsa Fest. He actually gave us a place. We had no venue. So he actually said, you know what, run with it. I have a space. Do whatever you need. Take whatever time do you need. We have Zaire Brooks, who actually built our website. And
today's assistant producer, Zaire. Thank you, my friend.
We had him build our website.
Would have my script without Zaire today.
Right.
Thank you.
So he built our website. And we have what else other than our two other survivors who are amazing. We have Zulma Robles, who is another survivor. She is amazing. A lot of people know her in the salsa scene. Yeah. And then we have Jackie Rodriguez Garcia, who people know her kind of in the health scene, and kind of she's out there. She's kind of the face for Herbalife.
Well, I think the thing, two bits of advice for all of you on air here, coaching, is that I think all of you need to prepare them mentally and spiritually for the next step in their journey, because what's going to happen, and I've seen this happens in movements, is that the person that sort of sparked it, there's this period where for it to grow, you're going to have to take on new responsibilities and a new role, and then they're going to have to fill in spaces. So you have to prepare them and let them know, it doesn't end Sunday or whenever you're going to show the premiere. And they're going to need to prepare to take on more responsibility. Yeah. And they're going to go through a journey now that maybe you were 3 months ago or last year or whatever. So, and then the other thing is that, you got a documentary here, my friend. I'm going to shout out my homie, Calixto Chinchilla, Calixto founded and runs the New York International Latino Film Festival.
Awesome.
So I'm thinking you need to. There's a lot of great vehicles, a lot of great film festivals and venues where you can show this documentary. So you're a filmmaker now, Chrissy. Do you understand that? Documentarian.
A pioneer.
So this is really exciting stuff. Let people know again, especially they may not be familiar with like Philly proper, but we have people that listen in South Jersey, Delaware, Washington, D.C., Central Pennsylvania. So let people know where they can see this movie and how they can support Love Shouldn't Hurt.
Right. So we are on Facebook at Love Shouldn't Hurt. We are on Instagram at LoveShould_hurt. We are also now on the web, thanks to Mr. Brooks. Our web address is www.loveshouldnothurt.com. The day of the premiere, again, which is April 28th at 3 p.m., we will be Facebook Live, Instagram Live. So if you cannot come out, you're far away, we will be live. Once we have the premiere, we also will be on YouTube.
Okay.
So we'll be sharing the documentary so that others can kind of see it from far away. And we will have another viewing of the show because we do have other people who are interested who can't come.
Well, you're going to be showing this movie quite a bit. You're going to be in Park City, Utah at Sundance, where you're going. Right. Don't laugh. You see, you're laughing, and that can happen. That will happen.
You're right.
So I did want to mention, and again, Chrissy, so proud of you. Besides supporting Love Shouldn't Hurt, I did want to mention, again, besides supporting your organization and other similar organizations, there's policy we can pass to support, especially the women in our community that are survivors and we're trying to protect them. We need to support survivors and protect victims of abuse. That hotline you were talking about, Chrissy, gets funded federally by the federal government through a federal law called the Violence Against Women's Act.
Yes.
VAWA. And this law provides resources to support victims of abuse. It just got reauthorized in the House of Representatives, so they have to every 5 years vote on it again to keep it going. And there was actually some Republicans voted against it.
In 2012.
And many Senate Republicans are not feeling this version of the bill. And the reason that is the Democrats, when they passed it this year in the House, closed the boyfriend loophole. So if your partner, who was your husband in that case, had been convicted, then they no longer could carry a firearm legally. But if in the same case of a boyfriend, maybe you weren't officially married, then that they still had that allowance, and so which is ridiculous. And so the Republicans saying that's not fair. So Republicans in bed with the NRA. See, these are facts. You don't think I'm like me. So you choose shooting people and having a big pistola over the safety of women. That's your business. Now, I'm going to do the right thing. If you're in Philly, call Senator Pat Toomey or any senator you guys, especially the Republican ones, who are acting disgraceful around the Violence Against Women Act, holding it up for a Senate vote. You just call 202-224-3121, 202-224-3121. That's the switchboard in Washington. And just say, I'm from New Hampshire. Patch me into my senators. The Senate needs to pass VAWA, the Violence Against Women Act authorization, ASAP.
That's right, Ray. Well, when we come back, we need to make it rain with more 20s.
We're getting there, man.
Ray's here too.
You.
You are listening to WPPM LP 106.5 FM in Philadelphia, and you are listening to the What's Next radio show and Ray's Talk Latino podcast. And to keep supporting Love Shouldn't Hurt, we're going to keep stacking 20s on our presidential election segment. Ray, no new candidates, but the fundraising totals for the candidates for first quarter of the year came out. Amongst Democrats, Bernie Sanders leads the pack with $19 million, followed by Kamala Harris with $12 million. Then underdog turned contender Pete Buttigieg. I don't say that right. With $9 million. Ray, what do these totals tell us about candidates? It's all about the Benjamins.
You know what they say, Christina? There's no romance without finance.
True story.
You don't need the most money, but you need to have enough. You know how, and I don't want to, But like back first date, you don't need McCormick and Schmick's, but Wendy's probably going to hag it. Yeah. So as long as you have Applebee's, you'll give the person a chance. That level. Right. Again, they need enough money to get in the debates. They need enough money to for people to hear their voice. So in this case, I think there's three things, and this really goes to not only the fundraising, but kind of my general observations as it relates to the Democratic field at this moment. The first thing is that I wanted to share is that Kamala Harris, a woman of color, is going to have the money to do this. I mean, there really at this point is 3 or 4 people that we can assume because of where they're at and their potential to raise money in their network are going to be able to compete nationally. Most of these candidates are going to have to kind of choose their spots, a state here, a state there, right, where they feel like people are going to be feeling them. Kamala can compete nationally, and her and Bernie and maybe Biden when he gets in are really the only ones at this point that we know for sure are going to be able to do that. So that's exciting as a woman of color. I think politically she's going to need to run nationally because she's going to – I just don't see her West Coast style flavor connected with people in Iowa and New Hampshire. So she has to do good enough to hang in so that California, which is where she's from, and the southern states, when they start voting, because that's where you have black women really kind of are the leading electorate in those states in Democratic primaries. So it's exciting for Kamala. And I keep saying this on the show, and now the people in the mainstream meeting are listening to me. Bernie going to be a problem for these people.
Yeah. Yes.
He's got the three things you need to win. Organization. He did this already. He did it 4 years ago. You work out the kinks.
He's got my vote, though.
Oh, you're a Bernie supporter.
I am, because Bernie supports domestic violence. So I'm
Absolutely.
definitely a big supporter of Bernie Sanders.
Much respect to Ana Lilia Mejia, who is one of our homegirls, who was on the show a few months ago. Now she's the national political director for Bernie. So we got to connect you with Ana Lilia. And Bernie could be hey, Ana Lilia, you need to hook up with my girl here. So that's fantastic. Bernie's a problem. He's got the money. He's got the money, and he's got the passion. His people are like ride or dies. That means something. When I was hanging out, and I'm in the national scene in 2008, Christina, when it was Clinton versus Obama. When I was going around talking to the Clinton people, the Latinos, they were like, "Yeah, we're doing Clinton this year. Like, that's our job this year. We picked her because that's where the money is." Like, the Obama people were like, "I'll slash your tires for him." I mean, they were like,
they Latino, we slash tires.
Well, they were just like a cult. Like, they were just like whatever he needs. And the Bernie people are like that. You can't. It's like sports. You can't underestimate passion. So he's got all. The issue. He's going to be the last 2 or 3. Are we going to feel confident to make that move at the very end to give the socialist to the old guy, or are we going to be scared at the very end? But he's going to be there at the end. Then the last thing is these 3 people in particular, Booker, and I like all these people, Booker, Warren, and Biden. They have some serious game stepping they got to do. Look, with all the connections, Booker's in Newark. That's based in New York. Wall Street, basically. Money people, tech people like him. Warren, Boston, national connections. Everybody know her. They can't raise as much money, my man from Indiana, Buttigieg. I mean, come on. And he did 2 good TV shows. So they got to step it up. And then Biden, Biden I didn't even stack that 20 yet, girl. Yeah. Because Biden not even in the game. That's right. So to me, he's like playing scared. And I think that organization, Biden's a good guy. But Biden's not good at like organizing things. And then this woman came out. We talked about that on the show with Dionel last week. He didn't know how to deal with that. Then it was a weird video and still isn't running. And the money, like, it's sloppy. And you need to run a tight, I don't care how your message is. You got to run a tight campaign. Look at what you're doing. Yeah. The organization you put together from scratch, it's not so easy. So, those are my initial observations from the field. And take it to the bank, by the way. Because in a month, the people on CNN are going to be saying the same, la misma cosa. You'd be like, pero coño, the Rican said that the other already. So you got to listen. You want to know what's going on next month? Listen here. Right.
So our Latino candidate, Julian Castro, do you think he could survive? He's only raised $1.1 million.
Yeah, well, that was always the issue with Julian. This is what y'all got to realize about Julian, especially my Latinos that are new to him. My man, John Laredo from Arizona watching. My man, he knows this political stuff better than me. He's a big-time fundraiser, great guy. And is that Julian grew up like us. So you can imagine, Christina, if I ran for president, right? I could probably raise $1 million. We throw a couple parties here. Think about Philly. Like, we could put some money together. Our homies in Chicago could do something. Our homies in Vegas could do. I could probably get to $1 million. But after that, I start asking for 5, 6, 7, 8. My homies are starting to come up with some reasons. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got vacation this summer. I got them student loans, dog. Like, we're working class people, and Julian's a working class guy. So that was always the issue. The issue is, and I do want to shout out my homie who's helping him fundraise, Jorge Herrera, who's got a big law firm in San Antonio, Texas. and he did a big fundraiser for Julian. That they're very close politically and personally. So there's a lot of good people out there that want to help him. And I think as Latinos, I think we should contribute to the guy. Give him $10. Even if you're candidate, give him $10-15 because he deserves to be on the debate. And look, the LGBT community, and rightfully so, is that looking out for Pete. You know, there's African American sisters. They riding for Kamala. Even if they don't vote for her at the end, they want to give her a chance. Yeah, so we need to do the same thing. Julian is a good guy. I think he's actually run.
He's Latino. Give him some.
In the last few months, he's capable. Look, he was the mayor of a big city. I mean, San Antonio is just a little smaller than Philly.
Yeah,
it's not like Pete. It's like being the mayor of Allentown's a little different. With all due respect, being the mayor of Philly, and that's basically the difference between Buttigieg and Julian, right? And Castro. And he was the Secretary of Housing for the whole country. So he's qualified, and he's young, and he's a good guy, and he's coming up with some really good ideas, really good plans. So let's give him some love. Yeah. So, Christina, what do you want to hear from these candidates? I'm curious.
I mean, I'm biased. So right now, my whole campaign is about domestic violence. So I do want to hear what all of their, even though, I looked it up, Kamala Harris in 2007, she was protecting victims of domestic abuse from prohibiting them, their landlords from evicting them.
Interesting.
Yes, women who were suffering through domestic violence and, the neighbors complaining, hey, there's violence up there, and them evicting them. So in 2007, she got together to work against that, protecting victims of domestic violence.
What's up.
Elizabeth Warren, she was urging people to protect victims of domestic violence. Like, a lot of these candidates are definitely supporters of domestic violence. O'Rourke, also protecting families and children from domestic violence. And Bernie Sanders, my boy, he helped with coming together with that Violence Against Women Act. So I'm biased right now because that's my mission. I kind of want to see what their stance is on domestic violence because it's important to me. But I mean, border control and policies in our government that nobody's looking at right now. So I want to hear them talking about that. Everybody's talking about all the same thing because everybody's trying to get their votes in. But I want people to speak about real things. Like, what are things that we deal with on a daily basis?
And this is the frustrating thing. And the thing is, people say, I don't know who these people are. They see a headline on Yahoo News, and that's like there's no excuse to not know what these people are about. Chrissy has a very particular issue she's passionate about. That's wonderful. Guess what? You go on Google, you look at their campaign platforms, you look at a couple speeches. It doesn't take so long.
Right.
I'm going to start sharing on different podcasts. These candidates are doing hour-long things. I'm going to start sharing on social media. It's like, look, you want to know who these people are? You can find unfiltered. You don't have to, unfiltered. You hear all their platforms, and you can really understand who they are, and then make your own decision. Right. I'm not telling anyone to vote for anybody because they're Latino or because they're super progressive or anything like that. And when I make my final decision, I will let you know. But at this point, I'm not with anybody. Right. But my main thing is, y'all, if you're saying there's too many candidates, well, guess what? Then why don't you study who they are? Because guess what? Mayor Pete was a nobody. This guy Buttigieg. Yeah. And people are like, oh, why are you running? Guess what? Now he's third in all the polls. Yeah. Because he has a message that's clicking with people. So let's give everybody a chance, but also let's do your research and come up with your own conclusions. That's very important.
Right.
So, Christina, before we go to the next segment, let people know again where they can find more out about Love Shouldn't Hurt campaign.
Well, you can now visit us on our website. Woohoo! Exciting. www.loveshouldnothurt.com. You can visit us on Facebook at Love Should Not Hurt. You can look at us on Instagram at loveshould_not_hurt. You can find us in all of those locations, and they will give you all of the information on what it is that we do on a 24-hour basis, as well as our film premiere on April 28th.
We come back, Chrissy, the premiere of the historic segment, The Salsa Room.
You are listening to WPPM LP 106.5 FM in Philadelphia and PhillyCam People Powered Media. On the last segment of the show, we are debuting my new segment of Ray's talk show, The Salsa Room.
This is historic, Christina. For those that don't know, Christina is not only a well-known activist and part of the Family here at Ray's Latino Talk podcast, but one of the queens of the salsa dance scene. So in this new segment of Ray's talk show, Christina will break down stories, do's and don'ts, drama, and all the things that are going on in the salsa dance scene. For all y'all cornballs that, like me, that have kind of semi-retired from the salsa dance scene, but still love it, still love the genre, or just want to know what's really going on. And maybe you always thought about, these are the things that, well, when I go out, these are the things that kind of bother me sometimes. These are the things that I like to talk about the salsa scene and the club scene. So, Christina, again, this could be its own podcast.
It really could. We'd be here all night.
And that'll happen in a couple years after your fame and fortune from Love Shouldn't Hurt. But Christina, let's just start. Give us one thing. There's so much that goes on in the Latin club world. It's like its own culture.
Lot. It is. You know what? So my biggest pet peeve are men who don't dance. I hate when men go to a club and they stand around and they just watch. There's plenty of women there. We all know how to dance and we want to dance, but it's like very cliquey. So like if you don't know how to dance or they don't know that you know how to dance, they won't ask you. That's annoying, guys. Come out, grab a woman, dance, because we love to dance and we actually are very attracted to men who can dance.
Well, hence my beautiful wife. So let me ask you a question. Do you think they're intimidated because the women are so... Because sometimes, look, there's guys that can... salsa's not like merengue or like freestyle something. It's real simple.
Not that easy.
So do you think is that they can dance, but they feel intimidated by the level of dancers that are at that spot? Or you think they're just like shy?
You know what? I think they're intimidated. I do. Okay. Because there's a lot of people who just recently, I went out to Lancaster and I was dancing and I had gentlemen tell me, I wanted to dance with you, but now I saw you dance. And now I don't want to ask you anymore. Oh, totally. And I was like, "What do you mean?"
Let me. I'm so glad you say this because let me tell you something. Before I semi-retired from Copa, New York, Mayan Temple in L.A., Bongos in L.A., all the spots in Miami, Chi-Town, PR. I've gotten out there a little bit. All right, Philly. I'll take my Philly salseros and salseras up against anybody. You guys go to all these competitions because Philly it's a good salsa market, so I can see where that intimidation factor comes in. So let me ask you a question. Do you think that if a guy went, and I'm not going to say you personally, but like your crew, your crowd, and was like straight up at the club, like, look, I really don't dance that good, but I do want to learn and be helped. Do you think they would be open to that, or they think the guys would be corny if they did that in that kind of scenario?
No, I think it's corny when they stand there at a club where the music is jumping and it's great and we like it and you're just standing there. I would respect you more and be more passionate if you would just ask me to dance and say, listen, I don't dance as good as you, but I want to dance. Okay. As long as you do a basic dance and I can follow the beat, I'm okay with that because I don't dance to compete.
That's easy to say.
I dance to enjoy it.
That's easy to say. Because let me tell you, I'm not saying you. But let me tell you, the real salsa scene here in Philly, like the real salseros, it gets a little snobby.
It does.
Especially if you go to certain spots, like I think there is a level of expectation you can dance a little something.
There is. But women are not, men take it a lot more serious than women do. Because women just want to dance and have fun. And a lot of them, yes, we take it seriously. If you're messing up the whole time, then we got a problem.
So you just hit on the key point here, Christina, because women just want to have fun and hang out with their girls, have a cocktail, and let them. Guys have other agendas, so they're a little more strategic in how they proceed.
Yeah, well, you know what? Like I said, I told that person that day in Lancaster, you know what? As long as you can keep a basic beat, I'm good. Because as long as we can dance, basically, I can lead you. You can lead me as long as we know where we're going. There are people, though. Let's not get it twisted. Because I've gone to plenty places and I can dance. I can throw down. But I'll go to places and because they don't know me, they won't ask me. So I'll just stand there all night and not dance, not once.
That is
because if they don't know you, it's cliquey. So they don't want to dance.
Oh, so you're saying this happens the other way. It's like they only feel comfortable asking people in their crowd.
Their crew.
See, that's a whole other dynamic. See, that's the thing with salsa music is that it's so interesting because it does have... People are so passionate about the music is that when you hang out with those real passionate people, it changes the mentality. I'll be honest, even when I was single, I did there were certain spots where I was I almost didn't want to get better because then it became competitive because I was pretty good at my peak. I could dance, but I didn't want to get that good because I wanted it to be fun. I wanted to make mistakes. I wanted to not feel like I had to compare myself to the guy with the shiny shirt. You know what I'm saying? It's stressful, man.
It can get stressful because sometimes I'm dancing on the dance floor and I have people who lead me who take it very seriously and it's just have fun. I just want to have fun. And people are no. You need to make sure that it's correct. And I'm it's not that deep.
I love how this is becoming the longest segment on the show. People are loving it.
I love salsa.
No.
Meet me on the dance floor.
No, the salsa room is a staple because we didn't even get into, oh my God, there's so much to this. Because we didn't get into, I'm not going to get into it now. The next, because this is your segment, not mine. But then See, the dynamic I had when I was in my dating scene with my wife is that most of the guys that her girlfriends and her cousins stuff, they weren't dancers.
Right.
So there was like a weird thing because then my wife's just being sweet about it. Like, can you dance for something? But at a certain point, the guys start gritting on you like, oh, this guy thinks he's a show off. And it's like, that's not my agenda here. I'm just trying to enjoy myself. Just trying to holler at the one I got here. So don't, so there's a lot of dynamics. So that's the bonus segment of the salsa room. Christina reminds.
One more thing.
Yes. Oh, please.
No,
hey, bonus coverage here. I've hit a nerve. I love this segment.
This is just a bit of, advice for men. If you're drowning in sweat, it's dripping from your face, it's dripping from your clothes.
The sweaters.
Don't ask anybody to dance because we don't want to dance with you if you're sweating.
Oh
you know how many people I turn down because they're like dripping sweat and they're like, you want to dance? And I'm like, I'm tired.
And what does it take? You grab a towel, you go to the men's room, you clean yourself up.
Wipe yourself
you do that, John. There's always like the gordito guy in the shower.
The big guy.
It's like you dance 5 nights a week. How you ever going to make? So he's like this.
If I'm sweating, I walk outside.
But he knows like how to like dry himself off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, there's techniques here. Yeah. Give it a second.
Right.
Give it a second. I feel this, Christina. Yo, Chrissy, we have hit on gold here.
Yes.
On Ray's Latino Talk podcast. Let's remind people where they can, remind people about the Love Shouldn't Hurt movement and about the show, the film premiere. Yes, and how they can reach out to you if they wanted to air it in their local community. Because I think that's the next step here.
You can send me an email at loveshouldn'thurtyou@gmail.com if you want us to come out and talk to organizations, different groups. You can hit us up on the website, loveshouldnothurt.com. We definitely will take any recommendations or emails from there. You can hit us up on Instagram, loveshould_not_hurt. And you can also go to Facebook at Love Shouldn't Hurt. Our premiere for our domestic violence documentary is next week, April 28th at 3 p.m. For all you Philadelphia people who are familiar with the area, it is the old Cardinal Doherty building at 3 p.m. It's going to be an amazing event. The film is amazing. I've seen it 3 times, looking at editing.
Wow.
And I cry every time.
You are the executive producer.
So I definitely believe that it's going to touch a lot of hearts. And I just want people also to remember that this film was dedicated in the memory of Linda Rios, who we lost last year, unfortunately, to domestic violence. So please come out. Her family will be there. And we just want to show them love and support and just continue to push forward with our movement.
I want to thank you, Chrissy, again for your continued leadership. And I want to thank the people that have been watching. For those that watch that listen on WPPMLP 106.5 FM, but also listen either to the podcast or watch us on YouTube. We have a family that are watching us while we do the show. So on IG Live and Facebook Live, I want to thank, there's so many names, Miss Henry, my nephew Elijah, Juan, Lucia. There's so many names. It's hard to keep up with all y'all. But we appreciate y'all. Maria's watching. Hey, my friends from Vineland are in the house. So we got people watching all over the country, all over the world. My family on the island and our West Coast friends. I saw James Garcia there was people from Arizona watching, from Texas, that we were just hanging out with. So we have a national and international following. But of course, our heart, and we're Philly born and raised. So that's where our base is. You can catch Ray's Latino Talk podcast if you're new to the experience on the radio station or the live stream. Download us anywhere you download a podcast, iTunes, Stitcher. We're on Spotify, Pandora, anywhere you can download a podcast. YouTube now, we're having the YouTube videos and audio. You can download us at Ray's Latino Talk podcast and check us out on WPPMLP 106.5 FM Philly, cam.org/listen. You can hear the content. A lot of good people here, community people. I'm Restrepo. There's a Latino young guy that's doing a salsa merengue radio show on Saturday night. So a lot of good programming here at WPPMLP Philadelphia. Chrissy, this flew by, my friend.
It did. It went by actually really fast.
Longer than the outro music, let me tell you. But and this salsa room phenomenon, I think we've hit a nerve. Y'all need to send your pet peeves about the salsa room.
Please send.
Shoot her notes, DM. It don't have to be public. Just your little pet, and then she'll channel you.
That's what
she'll channel you. And guys and women, hey, it's we know how to get in the club. Let's talk about it. We're here to have a good time here on Ray's Latino Talk podcast. Thank you, Chrissy. Thank you, our assistant producer, Zaire. Appreciate the help, my friend, and have a great day.